the biggest hook is just the joy they bring to our family. I don't know, I call me crazy, but we love kids. We love the joy that having a family brings, and there's just something special about opening your hearts.
Cultural Homestay International is a nonprofit educational organization that was founded back in 1980. Their mission is to promote international understanding and goodwill through people-to-people exchanges. They believe that the best way to build bridges of friendship and trust among people is to experience directly each other's customs, languages, and values. Hi, and welcome to this edition of Mid-South Viewpoint here on Bot Radio Network. I'm Byron Tyler. Today, we're going to talk about the life of being a host family. Our guest today is Rebecca Harber and Elizabeth Roberts, representing locally this organization, Cultural Homestay International. Ladies, welcome to Mid-South Viewpoint.
Thank you for having us.
We met recently at the Lightfoot Farms event that takes place in Millington the first Saturday of the month, I think, through October, which is a wonderful place to go. You had a display, a booth set up, and conversation began. I thought this would be a great opportunity to expose what you're doing and the excitement. I felt that excitement as you shared about being host families and some of the needs too, Rebecca, that you shared that we could share with our listeners. So here we are today. For close to 40 years, more than 300,000 students and young adults from over 130 countries have come to these shores to participate in the programs that you offer. And there's a variety of them. And we're going to kind of concentrate on that academic school year, which you ladies have participated in multiple times. Yep. And you've had different students from all over the world. So why don't we start off by telling your stories? We'll start off with you, Elizabeth. How did you first become acquainted? Tell us about it.
In the 90s, when I was in high school, we had exchange students, and I've always been interested in other cultures. I love British TV. I love a good accent. Being able, and it was the first time I knew that the kids came from other countries to our high schools, and just being able to be friends with them, I felt so cool, and just learning. And I would sit there and ask them questions, probably really annoying questions, just like they ask us sometimes about America. Because I was just ignorant. When my husband and I got married, we thought about more children, but then we thought, and we kind of prayed about it. And Rebecca had actually posted something on Facebook, and I saw it, and I literally said, what do you think about an exchange student? And he said, okay. It was like we kind of prayed for God to kind of show us what to do, because we had this passion and love for kids, and we knew we had to kind of share it, but we didn't know how, and we were just like, okay, let's do it. And Rebecca was able to share some profiles with us, and we knew we wanted an active kid. Our kids were active, so we wanted someone to fit in the family really well, and that's when we got Luna, who was our first student. She's from France, and she's our forever daughter. She's been the biggest blessing even today. It's been 3-4 years now, and goodness gracious, couldn't imagine life without her.
Reminds me of the time when I was in high school, which is back for a long time ago, 1980, when your organization began, that Mario from Venezuela was at my school, exchange student. And I just remember becoming friends with Mario. And I remember him signing my yearbook in Spanish, Some special times, loved his accent. We had some fun times. It was enriching to meet somebody from a different country, to expand your horizons a little bit, Rebecca.
Sure.
So how about for you when you first became acquainted?
Sure. A Facebook post from a friend of mine from high school.
So Facebook works then.
Facebook has worked for us, yes. And she posted that a student of hers needed emergency move from a family. It just wasn't a good fit personality-wise. And she posted about a Japanese girl. And I looked at my husband. I said, I wanted to get this Japanese girl as a student, to live with us, to host her. And he was like, wait, what? What is this about? And I was like, let me explain it to you. And so, he was like, we don't have time for another kid in our house. I'm like, sure we do. What's one more? So we got her in October of 2019 and just fell in love with her. And memories just of her and my daughter Juliana doing TikTok videos together. She loved to dance and have fun with my daughter. And she was so much fun. And then COVID happened and the world shut down and Japan wanted all their students back home. So she left us in mid-March. So we didn't get very much time with her. That was kind of getting our feet wet And then, the next year I was like, let's keep this going. Let's get a student again. And so we chose a girl from Spain, Carlota, and she just fit right into our family and just loved my dad to death. I mean, she was always at my dad's side and, called him Papa. And, she just, and she wanted to work with older people. That was her thing that she wanted to do, was work with the elderly. And she had done some of that back home in Spain. And now she's a makeup artist.
Is she?
Yeah, she's a makeup artist now and does runway makeup and living her best life in Spain. But she was our first full student for the whole year, and we just fell in love.
There's something special when you interact with people from different countries. I recall when we were missionaries on the island of Guam, of course, a multicultural place, but there was one opportunity we had back here in Memphis. My wife's aunt and uncle, the church they attended, hosted international students that were here at the University of Memphis with their families. And there was one young lady from Japan named Yukiko. Yukiko was finishing up her grad school here, and her first assignment was to teach at the University of Guam, which we were able to meet her at the airport, help her get established with an apartment, find a car, teach her how to drive, which was crazy, And I remember she would call the blinker the winker,
Love it.
And then we went to a typhoon together. It was a super typhoon that came in, and we were bunkered in our home for over a week. That she stayed with us, and so, but the richness of that, you can't put a price tag on some of that, can you, Rebecca?
No, you cannot. It's just, they become our family and our children all across the world. And my daughter graduates in 2 years, and her graduation trip is going to be a trip to Europe. And I've already heard from my Belgium students that we need to meet in Brussels because apparently that's the center location of Europe, and so we're going to set up, and I don't know which one of us is going to host us, but one of their families is going to host us, and we're going to meet their families and have all my students from the years come and hang out with us and let them show us Europe and what they have to offer us. So we can't wait.
I want to go on that trip.
I know. Come on,
Elizabeth. That sounds like fun.
Elizabeth's going to France soon.
That's the plan. We were supposed to go this year, but with the Olympics, everything was a little crazy
more
and expensive. So, our goal is we have a student from Germany, a student in Italy, and a student in France. So we're hoping to have a little powwow together and show us around.
Okay.
We're excited.
Yeah, you should be. What about some of the funniest things that's happened to you? Maybe the first time that you opened your home as a host family. I'll start with you, Elizabeth.
I will say, our first exchange student was like, she would literally go, "Let's go." Like, she was just ready all the time. She was very friendly, very active. We would have exchange student parties at our house and dance parties with Just Dance. Like, I can't tell you how many Just Dance parties we had. But we would have students from Belgium, Germany, Spain, Italy. I can't remember if we had a Spanish or Japanese kid that year or not, but they would get around and they would make fun of each other and blame each other for World War II. Like, no, it was your fault. No, what did you do? Like, it was so funny. And then so they would also come home from school, and say, "Someone asked me if I took a car ride all the way from France to the United States, or, what do people look like? Do people look different in France?" Just asking questions that just kind of went,
Yeah.
And I thought, my goodness, I guess our kids, are still at our schools. It's so beneficial to them to be exposed to other cultures because, my goodness, we all have predisposed just thoughts and ideas of people in other parts of the world that are not true.
That's right.
And this kind of just breaks down those walls. Yeah. So it's just a ton of funny stories, a lot of joy in our family, a lot of laughter, just hanging out, playing games, doing stuff together. But overall, I would 100% do it again.
Yes. Every year.
Yeah, for 8 years now, right?
Not quite 8 years, 5 years, but I've had 2 years where I doubled up on students. So.
Okay, yeah, so you got to compound that.
Yeah.
So funny moments for you.
Funny moments, I guess. Them coming home from school and getting the questions that they get at school. One of them was like, "Well, what? Belgian? Do you speak Belgian?" like, what language do you speak? And so having to explain that Belgium actually has 3 different languages, French, Dutch, and German, and she speaks French. So, crazy questions like that. And Americans tend to think we're the only ones in the world.
Yep.
We're a little within ourselves in that. And so I think this cultural exchange is so important because some of these kids, most of the ones we have been placing are in Tipton County. Some of these kids will never leave Tipton County, much less the state of Tennessee. And even America, that's far and few between unless they're in the military. So bringing the culture to our families, to our communities, to our schools is very important. And, these kids can ask the craziest questions, these American kids, and the exchange students just laugh it off. But I'm like, well, they're learning culture. They're learning something today from an exchange student that they're not learning in history class or English class or whatever,
That's right. What adjustments did your family have to make in order to accommodate an exchange student? Any major adjustments?
We asked for them to have a bed, feed them, 3 meals a day. We had a child leave and go to college, so we had an extra room, so that was easy. And then the only other adjustment is just opening our hearts, I guess, to another kid to love. Yeah. And just like any human, we all have good days, bad days, and days we all have to kind of deal with each other. So that was it. But our family, we're already a blended family, and we've all had to adjust to each other. So we're used to being flexible.
Yeah.
So it was just flexing a little extra, but it was, good.
Is that a key word in your vocabulary?
Flexible, yes. Yeah. I think host families need to be flexible and I have learned that teenagers are the same the world over. They're teenagers. They're selfish. They get into their feelings and, but just treat them like your own. Do not give them a different set of rules that you have for your kids versus them. Include them in every family activity. My kids are on the go with us wherever we go. And, I was talking to a potential host mom the other day, and she's like, we're so busy in this stage of life. I was like, busy families are the best host families, because you take them everywhere. You show them more than what a host family that's not going to be busy and going places, or maybe it's an empty nester, and they're not going to be as busy. Still a great opportunity, but, I think our families come in all shapes and sizes, and our students are, they're teenagers, and you just have to give grace and be flexible. And, doing life and living with people, once you get comfortable, a month or 2 in, they get really comfortable. And, then sometimes we have to reel them in and be like, these are the rules. And, in Europe, they're allowed to do a lot more things. And I think the parents in Europe are not as helicopter parents as we are here in the United States. And so they have a lot more freedom. They come a little more mature than our students are here, or than our own kids are here. So, that's overwhelming for some host families at first to realize that, this kid's a lot more mature and knowing things of the world than our kids know.
Right. If your family's involved in a church, local church, and maybe your kids are involved with a youth group, or you take youth camps and things like that, I mean, are those things you can...
Oh, yes, definitely. And I would say a lot of the kids, and especially from Europe, we send missionaries all over the world, but we forget that Europe used to send missionaries to us, and they're kind of lost now. Not everybody's lost, but they absolutely need the Lord. And a lot of the kids that have come to our home, they say they're Christian, but like our German student last year, she goes, "Oh, you bring your Bible to church? You go to church every week? You do this?" And it was just, but she loved it. Like all of our kids that have gotten involved with families that go to church, a lot of them, it is not our goal to proselytize to children through the program, but a lot of kids, I think they become closer to the Lord, certainly.
I look at it as my mission field. You're coming into my house. We do church every week. I grew up Southern Baptist and Sunday, Wednesdays. So I look at them as my mission field, and we can't convert them or whatever, but I see I'm planting seeds.
Yes.
And they realize that faith is a big part of American culture, especially here in the South. Mm-hmm. And part of their profiles, it will say, are you willing to attend religious events with your host family? And the majority, very rarely do I see one that says no.
Yeah.
They are all open to our culture, our faith, and attend youth groups and do all the things with our kids. I had Meta sing in the choir with us at Christmas time, and we have this set of twins. They're in their 80s at our church that sing in the choir, and almost every week they ask how Meta's doing.
Oh.
And she just touched so many lives, and that's just at church, and she touched everybody. And these students just bring joy and culture and a new outlook on the world.
Right. Are there expenses that you incur as a result of being a host family?
Rebecca?
Actually, we ask our host families to provide 3 meals a day, a loving home, a place to sleep. They can share a room with the same sex host sibling, or they can have a private room. You don't have to have a private room for them. They come with their own spending money and their own insurance. If they were to get injured, they have insurance for that. The host families are just required to feed them, 3 meals a day. Everything else, like my student paid for dance camp this month while she came early to try out, and it was $450, and her parents paid that. So anything that they want to do in school, outside of school, extracurricular, their parents pay for that.
Okay. And I guess if there's any issues, and you probably don't really have discipline issues, but if you had to do that, would you reach out to somebody here in the States, or would you talk to their family, or how do issues like that work out?
Actually, it goes through us. The coordinator would call me. I'm the DAPA for the area, and so we would kind of see what the situation is, talk to the student. I would go and talk to the student privately to see what's going on, talk to the host family, see what's going on. If it's a major problem, we have a committee through our agency that is made up of multiple DAPAs across the nation, so they can hear the side of the student and the side of the parents, and then they can make a decision from there.
Yeah.
So we do have super amount of support through CHI. They're just wonderful.
And I'm sure situations like that are very rare, if they even happen at all.
Most are handled monthly. We talk to the kids and the parents every single month. We ask them how they're doing. We try to encourage, do something nice for your host parents this month. We try to encourage the kids to go outside themselves and be kind to others. And so I think connecting with them each month and being local, we have someone around each student. We're not like, a state away. You always have someone available that can come, and talk with the kids, talk with the parents.
Right.
Sometimes parents just need to call us and vent. She's just getting on my nerves today. But they typically love those kids. It's just we all have those moments, those days that we're just...
We had those moments with our own kids, right?
Oh, right.
Goodness gracious, yeah.
And that's what I think is great about it. When we do have a little rift, it shows that they're comfortable with us.
Yes.
And that's what we want. We want them to be comfortable with us, and they'll become our own kids, and we don't have many problems with these kids. And I just, like you said, they're the best of the best that we're getting. And they want to be here, and they're grateful for the opportunity, and they don't want to mess that up.
No, they really don't, because they're representing their countries and the program itself,
for sure.
So we're talking about a school year, so it would be, 2 semesters a student would be with you before they go back to their homeland?
Yeah, they usually arrive 1 to 2 weeks prior to school starting in the fall. They'll get here, late July. And if they're a 5-month student, they are just here through December, and then they leave after Christmas. If they're a 10-month student, they stay for the whole year and do the entire school year, and then
including graduation.
If they're a senior,
if they're a senior, right?
Some of our schools don't allow them to graduate and walk, which is kind of silly to me, because we know they're not actually graduating; they're an honorary graduate,
right? Because
they don't have those 4 years of English, math, and science and history. But it's so fun for them to be an honorary graduate, and and then they get to. The seniors are fun because
for sure.
I think I want a senior every year just to experience senior year, because it's a lot of fun for the kids.
Go prom dress shopping every year.
The prom dress shopping, yes. I mean, it's mine just made the cheerleading squad at Brighton, and she is so excited. So I'm like, ooh, Friday night football is going to be fun with the exchange student on the cheerleading squad. So 5-month students or 10-month students, we have both to choose from. And I feel people that just want to get their feet wet and kind of experience it just a little bit, you can be a 5-month student and have them come and get to know them, and then they'll go right back home. But I tell you, my 5-month families are all like, I should have it's too soon. It's why is she leaving now? Why is he leaving now? We need more time.
Because they leave right before or after Christmas?
Right after Christmas they leave.
Which experiencing an American Christmas for the first time is a lot for them because, matching pajamas, they don't really do that in Europe. And their first Thanksgiving they've only seen Thanksgiving on the movies.
Right.
And they're like, oh, do we get turkey? Like, that's all they know. So, yeah, it's...
Yes, and their favorite thing is mac and cheese. I'm like, you have all these wonderful dishes, and you like the box mac and cheese. They don't have mac and cheese in Europe. I'm like, how is this a staple in America and not anywhere else?
So we learned new holidays, too, which is cool. Like, I know in Italy, they have, 3 different Christmas holidays that are, and it's depending on what part of Italy you are in, kind of dictates what your saints are and what your holidays are. And so there would be stories, and I would go, oh, where does that come from? And she'd go, I don't know. She just brings us candy. And so I would look up the history of it, and I was like, oh, did you know she was martyred? No. I just thought she brought us candy.
And the Spanish celebrate the countdown at New Year's Eve by eating 12 grapes?
Yeah, I think so.
12 grapes. They start at 12, I think.
Yeah.
And they eat the grapes
brings good luck.
It's supposed to bring good luck if you can eat them all in 10 and 12 seconds.
Wow.
Because it's the countdown to the new year.
Oh.
So they're learning from us, but we are learning so much from them and their culture. And oh my goodness.
I can only
it's fun.
imagine those opportunities and experiences you have together. What about someone listening right now that is thinking about this? What advice would you give them? What's some of the steps that they would need to take to become a host family here?
Advice I would give is just do it. Just jump in and do it. Don't think about it. Just do it. You will not regret it. It's so much fun. The process is, we have to get a host family application started, background check everyone that lives in the house that's 18 or older. And then from there, we start sending them profiles, and they get to choose the sex of the student. If they want a boy or a girl, they get to choose what activities the students are involved in. If they have a son that plays soccer, I'm going to put a soccer player in their family. So our job is to get the best fit for the families.
Yeah.
And I will say right now, we're coming to the end of placement period for fall. So if you're interested now, totally reach out because schools are starting to get started up again, and they may be closing their doors. We still have limitations for some schools, like some schools in Shelby County. They may have a limit of 3 kids, and some of those are already full. But if you want to do it next year, we start getting new kids for next year. I think last year we started in October, and so if we can get you started early, you can get in for next year. And the cool thing about getting the student early is you get connected to them early. So you can literally start talking Zoom with your kid and get to know them before they arrive.
Right.
And talk to their parents.
And talk to their parents, which is always fun, especially if 1 or 2 people don't speak English. Yes. And I've had parents just stare at us because they didn't understand anything. And I'm like, what was their interpretation? They're like, well, I told them you were nice. But, it's fun.
Yes. What about in case students that have maybe a special medical need, or they have certain medicines they have to take while the exchange student is under your care, health concerns or needs that might arise?
Yes, it tells us that in their profiles, so we know that up front. Their profiles come with, like I said, a letter from the student and a letter from their mom and dad to the potential host family, so we can learn a little bit more about the student. Their medical shot records, everything is in there. Their school records. So if anything arises, they come with their own insurance. So that is. We just find wherever takes that insurance. I haven't had any issues with our pediatrician taking an exchange student. Most of them don't get sick, really. I mean, they might get little allergies and stuff being in the Mid-South, especially, the Mid-South crud. They all tend to get that. But as far as any major illnesses, I had to send a student back to Brazil last year to get her wisdom teeth taken out because the insurance didn't cover that. So she went back home for 2 weeks and then came back and finished out her year.
How about that?
But we do know ahead of time if the kid has... if they're vegetarian or celiac or any of that stuff. And a lot of times if they're vegetarian, we try to fix them with a vegetarian family, or if they have other food requirements, we try to make sure the host family knows that ahead of time. Did they agree to it?
Right.
Like, are are you comfortable with them only eating this?
But we have a Jewish student this year that needs a kosher family. So, we're very specifically looking for, a Jewish family that eats kosher.
Yes.
Everything's kosher. So, their profiles tell us a lot.
Do you have to deal with students being homesick, maybe when they first get here?
For sure.
What's that like?
Well, some of them, it usually happens around the holidays, because it's all new. Like, school is fun and needing friends, and that's all great. And then the holidays hit, and they're like, oh, I'm not with my family, and I'm learning new things, and this is all new. For the most part, they have done well in my home. I can only speak for my kiddos. And they don't tell me until after the fact, till they've come out of it. I did have a little bit of homesickness, and that's actually one of the questions that the coordinators asked them after Christmas. Have you had any homesickness? How are you dealing with that? Do you need any help? And for the most part, once they start right back to school, they're fine. So it's just a little bit of homesickness that I've had with mine.
Yeah, I kind of think they have like a little chart on, they're really excited to be here, and then they go through a lull, and then they get sad. But it seems like when we hit January, oh my gosh, that year goes so fast. Yes. And they're just like, they don't want it to end. And then by the end, they don't want to leave you.
Yes.
And it's, they
don't want to count the days down. They're like, don't tell me how many days I have.
It's so depressing. Yeah.
And my student last year was so frustrated because one of her teachers, she was a senior, and one of her teachers was counting the days down. She's like, in tears, I don't want to hear how many days I have left. She was so sad.
So what has been the biggest hook for you both to continue doing what you're doing as a host family? Elizabeth?
The biggest hook is just the joy they bring to our family. I don't know, call me crazy, but we love kids. We love the joy that having a family brings, and there's just something special about opening your hearts to someone else. I talked to a family one time, they said, oh, our exchange student was perfect. I don't think I could ever love someone like I love them. And I was like, you'd be surprised. Mm-hmm. God gives you love in your heart. And Lord, well, if we open ourselves up to that, He gives it right back. And every time we just continue to love our kids. Our family's taking a year off, but I told my husband, I was like, we've never done a boy. Could we do 2 boys at one time? And he just kind of looks at me like I'm crazy, but he loves it too. It gives him our student last year was his workout buddy. So it was, it's good for the whole family. It just is a huge blessing. So that's the hook. If there's a hook, it's just love.
My husband's the same way. I just have watched him fall in love with all these students. And, you always, when you marry someone, you wonder, well, how are they going to be a dad? How, what's that going to be like? Well, he's a wonderful dad. And he's a wonderful host dad. And he just loves, as a joke, because he's always the one making sure they're fed. Did you get enough to eat? Are you okay? Do you want something different? So he's, I call him, I was like, you're the little food Nazi. You have to make sure they're all eating and fed properly. And it was so funny. Another little funny story with Meta, our German 3 years ago. And she was like, all you want to do is feed and water me like a plant. And so we called her Meta, our little plant. Have you eaten? Have you been fed and watered today, Meta? So, it's just great for the whole family. I mean, my boys are both in the military now. I have one in the Army and one in the Navy. And they grew up with exchange students, and they have both been to foreign countries now, and Spain and Romania and Germany, and, just knowing that they had that cultural experience before they, went out into the world.
Somebody listening had additional questions, would like to talk to you about being a host family. Mm-hmm. Can they connect with you? How do they call you?
Absolutely. They can call me. Do you want me to give my number online?
Is that okay?
I don't mind. My number is 901-428-7773. Or they can go to our website, which is www.chinet.org.
.org, yes. It's
CHINET. .org.
That's right.
And we have a go under the academic coordinator, or go under the host family tab and academic year, and they can sign up on our website to have more information.
Fantastic. Elizabeth, Rebecca, thank you so much for coming. I'm so glad we met at the Lightfoot Farms and made it here today to tell the story. This has been great. Thank you so much.
Yes, we love what we do.
Thank you.
Well, friends, that's all the time we have on this edition of Mid-South Viewpoint here on Bott Radio Network. I'm Byron Tyler. Thanks for stopping by. We'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.